How's it going, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Armchair Analysis. Hope you guys are having a great day. It is Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. And today we've got a fun one for you. North Dakota State is going to be our team of preview today. Very excited for this one. I think it's going to be a fun video, an exciting one. Kind of one where we get a chance to really learn who North Dakota State is. Look, this is a team that I admittedly don't have a whole lot of experience with, other than the fact that, yeah, we know they win the FCS consistently. But this was a team I had to go in and kind of understand a little bit more who they are. And while I kind of knew the gist of it, understanding what this team was bringing to the 2026 season certainly was something that definitely, I think, leaves me a little bit more confident in how I feel about this team going forward. So I'm excited for it. Hopefully you guys will get something out of it too. And if you do, I ask that you leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, and make sure, especially the subscribe part. Preview season starts June 1st, and that's basically what we're doing here, just with all the Power 4 teams. 68 teams, 68 days. Don't miss it. It's pretty much exactly what you're going to see today. So I thank you all so much for tuning in, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's video. When you think about North Dakota State, it's a team that you think of as a perennial FCS contender, a perennial FCS national championship favorite, even. And under Tim Polasek, it's been no different. 26-3 in his 2 seasons as North Dakota State head coach, but taking on a challenge that nobody else in this conference in this program's history has done, and that is jumping up to the FBS level and trying to lead this program forward in that regard. It's one of excitement, I think, for a lot of people, because this is a program that I think people have been clamoring to see in the FBS level. When App State came up, the conversation was, well, when's North Dakota State coming up? Coastal Carolina came up. When's North Dakota State coming up? And as more and more teams did, the questions remained. When will North Dakota State make the move? And finally, in 2026, they will be making the move. And look, it's going to be one of, again, a lot of interest. This is not a team that's got Cole Payton and Bryce Lance. If they were doing this last year, I think this is a 10-win team this season with the schedule they've got in front of them. Instead, there's a lot of unknown, and that doesn't mean I don't think they're a 10-win team. I think they've got the potential, but it's a team that I really got to see a lot of because, to be honest, nobody has seen enough of this team to really know. This is a team that lost a good amount in the portal, at least some of the stars that they had in the portal and or to the draft, and Cole Payton and Bryce Lance again. You lose a 1,000-yard receiver, that does something. You lose 3,000 passing yards, that does something. And you have to figure out who's next. Who's going to take this role on and become the leader of this program. And I think that's where we go ahead and take a look at this roster. Look, it's headed up by, a 52% returning production rate, and I believe that number primarily comes from the defense. It's a considerable amount. I believe they've got, if I remember it right, it's 4 seniors, 6 juniors, and a sophomore going to be on the defense this year. Whereas with the offense, it's a lot of youth, really, and a lot of players that don't have a considerable amount of playing time. The offense is really going to run through Barry Pinu, who is their returning running back, 1,000-yard rusher last year. It's going to be a run-first offense, I could only imagine. But I think Nathan Hayes has a lot of talent, too. He's going to be the new starting quarterback. We'll look into all that here as we go through the roster preview. But this team, again, 52% returning production, 17 seniors on this roster, 24 juniors, 26 sophomores, and 35 freshmen. It is a underclassmen-heavy program, which bodes well for the future. Really, the year that they become eligible to play for conference titles, North Dakota State will be in the conversation right away. And that's a good thing. That's certainly something I think we're pretty excited to know and think about going forward. When you look at this team last year, they were 12-1 at FCS level, lost to Illinois State in the semifinals of the FCS playoffs, which was an incredible story for Illinois State getting all the way to the national championship. 114th recruiting class, 169th portal class with 7 commitments. Those 7 commitments were Kine Anine, I think I got that name right, coming from Kansas. Anthony Oakes, defensive lineman from Montana Tech. Truman Griffith joins that D-line from Kansas State. Keith Williams Jr., linebacker from Cornell. Cornerbacks DJ Volts and EJ Davis. Volts from Saginaw Valley State and EJ Davis from Wayne State. And then Caleb McGrath, the kicker from Minnesota, a punter, actually, from Minnesota. This is a program full of tradition, full of history. And last year was really no different when you look at the stats. 41 points per game, 450 yards per game, 451 yards per game, 238 passing yards, 212 rushing yards. When you look at the other side of that, they doubled almost everything that their opponents did. This has been the gold standard at the FCS level for, again, probably 15 years now, North Dakota State. And now we get a chance to see, can that translate? Will it translate to the FBS level? Look, we've seen North Dakota State beat FBS teams consistently. We've seen them lose a couple, but they've always been close. I feel like it's kind of a similar story here, but the problem is, again, I think they're coming up at the wrong time. This is the time where you would expect them to be probably ready to go in and compete right away, whereas instead, this team comes up and I mean, they're inexperienced largely around this program. It's going to be fun to watch. This team, plus 18 in the turnover margin last year, I think they'll probably be fairly similar. They're really good at taking care of the football. And they're very smart too. No penalty, or 5.5 penalties per game. I think that number will probably stay similar. Taking a look at the offense, and this is where we'll kind of get into it. And when we're going through this, understand that my points of emphasis right now are the wide receivers, because that's the least experience that they've got. Nathan Hayes is projected, and I think will be the starting quarterback in the fall. 381 yards last year, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. He was the backup to Cole Payton. Trey Drake, Preston Brown, and Xander Smith are in the room. Trey Drake is the backup for all intents and purposes. And then Xander Smith and Preston Brown have kind of gone back and forth as that third string quarterback. I think it's going to be Preston Brown. You look at the running back room, it's Barry Pinu, and that is where they're at, where they're excited to be right now. I think 1,000-yard rusher last year, 20 touchdowns, added 250 on the through the air. DJ Scott was really solid, a 500-yard rusher himself. He returns to this roster. Cortez LeGrant, Miles Mitchell, 3 and 4. I think Miles Mitchell will jump up in his play time, just because this is his what'll be his redshirt freshman season. But beyond that, it's Barry Pinu's show. Everybody else is kind of just there when he needs a break. At wide receiver, look, I think there's 5 deep here that could probably see some playing time, but I think we'll see probably at most 3, maybe 4 at most on the field at once. This is a team that likes their tight ends, and I think they're going to really like them. Oh, excuse me. They're going to really like them as they go forward here. Reese Kessel is actually the leading receiver overall returning from last year with 335 receiving yards. The leading wide receiver is Jackson Williams, projected wide receiver 1. Mekhi Collins and Isaiah St. Romain are your other 2 that are projected to be there. Expect to see some of Logan Conklin and even Cade Osterman. I think you'll see them in some substitute roles at times, but it's really going to be, I think, Williams, Collins, and St. Romain that take the majority of the snaps on offense. When you look at the offensive line, this is probably where I differ the most from a lot of people. Understand, when I was going through here, I couldn't find like a projected depth chart or what I thought might be there. I kind of had to go through and really utilize some message boards to kind of understand like what people were thinking and what the entirety of the fan base was thinking. And this is what I came up with. Josh Maggin at left tackle. Now, I've seen him at left guard. I've seen him at right guard. I think he's going to move to the tackle position. Why do I believe that? Because on the roster, he's listed as an offensive tackle. I think that's going to be where he'll end up being. He's the most experienced offensive lineman. I think that plays really well for a left tackle, should he be able to move out there. It seems that would be the intent. Again, he's listed as an offensive tackle. Just depends on what they do. But there are worlds, again, where he's at a guard position as well. The rest of this offensive line, Kine Inine is going to be a guy that I'm very excited to watch because he was the other projected tackle. I think he'll move to a guard position. He was projected to be the left tackle with Ryan Babbitts as the right tackle. With my change, I put Inine at right guard. I think that could probably work out. again, that you could see any combination. I think this combination is going to change tremendously, even going towards the fall anyways. Overall, this offense is one that I think a lot of people are, again, excited for. Really curious to see. Dan Larson goes into year number 3, I believe. No, it'll be year 2 as an offensive coordinator, but his 8th year overall as a member of this coaching staff. When you look at the defense, this is where I think a lot of excitement comes in for North Dakota State. It's because it's experienced, and Grant Olson has done a great job, and last year is no exception to the rule with how good they were. Year 3 as a defensive coordinator, year 8 on this roster or on this coaching staff as well. And when you look at this team, my star player here is Donovan Woolen. He is a guy that returns 86 tackles, 5 for loss, a sack, 1.5 sacks, and 3 interceptions. And there's a lot of guys who had 2+ interceptions. There's a lot of guys who are really solid just overall on this roster, but Woolen is the guy that I think is going to see the most. I think we're going to hear the most about in terms of players on this defense. This 4-3 style, Kelton McClassen and Victor Aselli are going to be your 2 defensive ends, with Elijah Wayne and Keenan Wilson over the middle. Keenan Wilson was very solid last year. 8 tackles for loss, 4 sacks as a middle pass rusher, with 37 tackles total on the season. Elijah Wayne just takes up a lot of space. He's a guy that I'm very excited to watch and see how he develops over the course of the offseason. But this defensive front, I think, is going to be really solid. And then it goes to that linebacker room, I think, is going to be good, too. We talked about Donovan Woolen. Keith Williams, the transfer in from Cornell, is projected to be the Mike, with Alex Elliott at the will. Another name to listen for here is Peter Halgo. He returns from last year's team, 21 tackles, 2.5 for loss, 2 sacks. I think he'll be a player that really that might take a step forward and even jump into the starting lineup here. In terms of the secondary, Antoine Booth and Najee Nelson are going to be your 2 corners, and Darius Givens, Jalen Crumby at safety. Names to watch here, of course. Names to watch here, of course, are DJ Volts, but the other secondary player that I'm really excited to watch is Talon Edey. If I remember correctly, or if I read this correctly, he was majorly a slot guy last year in terms of where they put him. 24 tackles, 3 interceptions for Talon Edey. Could he jump into a role as a full-time safety? Certainly up in the air, I would say. So I'm very excited to see kind of what this defense will look like and turn into as the year goes on. At kicker, you got Drew Klein. At punter, you got Aaron Bickerton. Of course, again, you could also have a potential to see Caleb McGrath as a punter this year. Moving on, you take a look at the schedule, and it's pretty interesting because you start the season with Jacksonville State. Then you got Fordham, Air Force on the road to start Mountain West play, Sacramento State on the road, a team that joins North Dakota State and jumping to the FBS. But the road games in conference are brutal. Air Force, UNLV, New Mexico, Hawaii, and San Jose State. The right thing about this, the thing that makes me kind of comfortable with this, is those are the losable games. The games that are winnable and really should be favored are at home. So you get the majority of your tough games on the road. That should help out a little bit in terms of being able to maybe get an extra win or 2 on the season. Jacksonville State's going to be a tough way to open the season up. So with all this said, let's go ahead and predict this thing. Starting with Jacksonville State, I think it's going to be a loss. I'm going to go ahead and throw Fordham's win up there because that's pretty obvious. But Jacksonville State, I think, is going to be a loss. Week 0, I don't think Jacksonville State wants to be the team that loses to North Dakota State first. And I feel like this Jacksonville State team at where it will be and how experienced they are coming back, I don't see them taking a step backwards. I certainly don't see them losing to the inexperience that North Dakota State's going to have. Specifically on offense. This is going to be a defensive slugfest. I'm excited for this game. Week 0, this game will find the screen. Talk about Fordham, they'll get the win there. Air Force, first Mountain West game, first loss in Mountain West play. I think this Air Force team brings a lot back, and I'm very excited to see what Troy Calhoun will have for this Air Force roster. This is kind of just that wake-up call of, hey, things are going to be tougher. at the FBS level, we're going to have to work a little harder. It's not going to be quite as easy as it was in the Missouri Valley Conference. That's what this game is going to be. I think Air Force is going to be able to get the job done. Again, another defensive slugfest, but the offensive experience continues to shine early in the season. Or the offensive inexperience continues to be the bright spot, or really the dark spot, I guess, of this offense, or this team early in the season. At Sacramento State, I think they'll get their first FBS win against the Hornets out there. And then they'll follow that up with a home game against Wyoming. Tim Polasek will want to win that. Remember, he came from Wyoming. I think that's a game that's going to mean a lot to this team. I think they're going to get the win. They'll be 3-2 going into that road trip against UNLV, where they will take another loss. I just don't think they're better than UNLV. I think Dan Mullen's going to have this team ready to go, understanding what's on the line in this matchup. So, North Dakota State 3-3 on the first half. You come out of that sixth game, a home game against Nevada, a team that I think they can certainly beat, and I think they will. It's going to be a pretty comfortable win there. Then you'll go on the road to New Mexico. Jason Eck has this New Mexico team humming after last year, and I think they're going to be very good again this year, and I think they're going to get the win. I think, again, that being a road game all the way down to New Mexico, that's a tough one, coming off of a good amount of travel already when you go to Vegas and then to New Mexico within a span of 3 weeks. This little 3-game stretch here, UTEP, Hawaii, Northern Illinois, I think have potential to really help this season out, and especially getting the bye week leading into Hawaii, I think is a big deal, especially with all the travel that's implied there. I think this is a really good stretch for North Dakota State. I think they'll get their first conference road win against Hawaii, but they'll beat UTEP. I think they'll beat Hawaii, and I think they'll beat NIU to improve to 7-4 on the season going into that final game. I just feel like this is kind of the spot for them to really start kind of pushing forward a little bit, getting some things going. I mean, the second bye week of the year, the first one comes before Wyoming, which I think is a really good spot. You get a chance to understand what you did on your first FBS win and take it and kind of apply it to that Wyoming game. Here you do the same thing. You get to take that UTEP win, apply it, move forward. And at this point, this team should be at its best. And so I'm excited for this little 3-game stretch. I think this is a chance for them to really, really take the bull by the horns, if so to speak, on the season. You go into this final game on the road. Look, it's the third team that I think could be a favorite in this conference, is San Jose State. I like Ken Niumatalolo. I think that what he's done so far has been impressive, keeping this team together after Brent Brennan left. It's a very similar storyline with Coach Niumatalolo and Coach Brennan. Brent Brennan goes to Arizona, has to keep it together after Jed Fish leaves. Niumatalolo has to go into San Jose, keep it together after Brent Brennan leaves. Both of them did a great job. San Jose State, I think, is in a really good position this year to be a competitive team in this conference. So with that said, I'm going to give San Jose State the win. Giving North Dakota State a 7-5 record, 5-4 in conference play. I think this is perfectly reasonable. I think, again, the biggest problem for North Dakota State, their big games are on the road, and that's going to be tough for them. That's going to make things difficult. But I think this team is very capable. I think a ceiling could sit at 9-3. Maybe 10-2 if everything goes perfect, but I think 9-3 is the ceiling for this team. And I'm predicting, I think, the floor. Maybe 7-6 if they lose one. They shouldn't lose somewhere. But I think the floor is probably 7-5. So let me know what you guys think down below. Of course, North Dakota State fans, you know your team better than I do. And honestly, you know your team better than the majority of us do, because you see this every Saturday. You've seen this team over the last 2 years. What should we be expecting that I may have missed in this episode? I'm always happy to see that stuff down in the comments. I love hearing what people have to say. And yeah, I'm excited. Am I in the right spot? Am I missing it? Let me know. Glad to hear it down in the comments below. I thank y'all so much for tuning in. I ask that if you guys did enjoy this video, you please like and subscribe. Because liking and subscribing means, one, this video will get out further. Subscribing means that you will be able to see our videos pop up in your sub box here at Armchair Analysis when preview season officially starts on June 1st. For those who are unaware, preview season is where we preview 68 teams in 68 days. That is the entire Power 4 plus Notre Dame. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a very fun time of the year. It always is. I have so much fun doing it. I ask also that if you're new around here, you join our Discord. It's currently on the screen. You follow us on Spotify. Brand new to Spotify. Really working the kinks out over there. But I ask that you'll follow us on Spotify. And on top of that, I ask that you follow us on social media. We got plenty of content coming your way there as well. Working on getting things kind of sorted out to be ready to go and officially start really hammering down on them. But the X account and the Instagram account are full go. So I thank y'all so much for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And with all that said, I'll see you guys tomorrow with another episode of Armchair Analysis.